Okay, so a very good morning to you and happy new semester. This is me, Dr. Samih Abdel Jalil, and I'll be teaching you EA300B, inshallah. Before we proceed, I would like um to check whether you guys have, this is your graduating semester or perhaps you're doing something else. Are you
For
graduating
me,
this semester? Yeah,
for
let
me,
me,
yes, I'm graduating.
okay. Right. This is Mariam, right? I can recognize your voice.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah, okay. So who else is graduating this semester? Banda?
I am graduating, doctor.
Okay, inshallah, ala khair. Anybody
Yes,
else?
Dr. I'm graduating.
Yeah, what's your name? Hmm?
Saleh.
Saleh, okay. Who else?
Ego.
Hmm. Omar Muhammad is also graduating. Okay.
Ayman
So
said
that,
he's also graduating.
what's your name? Noora?
His name
Noora
is
is,
Ayman. It's not me.
I am. Hmm.
Me
Ayman
also,
is
doctor. I'm graduating this semester, inshallah.
ala khair, inshallah. Tasneem is also graduating. Nice. The reason why I'm asking this question is, طبعا, of course, I'm wishing you all the best. This is number one. And number two is to check whether you have done any children's literature courses before. If you're graduating, it means that you have done EA300A, right? Which
Yes, I did.
means that you have done some foundation in what children's literature is. Um, the different, philosophical underpinnings, if you like. So we'll talk more about that, inshallah. طيب, EA300B, Children's Literature 2 or B, is a very interesting course. Noora is taking both parts, also to, I assume, to graduate. But anyway, like I said, this is a very interesting course, and it is a continuation of the efforts that your teachers started with you in EA300A. So it's children's literature, and it's all about, the world of children, even though saying that it is about the world of children wouldn't be very accurate because it um, it addresses issues that find appeal among all sectors of society, whether you're a child or you're an adult. So to say that this is all about children and for children wouldn't be very accurate, like I am saying. So what are the associations of children's literature? When I say children's literature, what comes to your mind? Whether you have done some children's literature or you haven't done any. So try to come to the mic and share. I don't want it to be like one direction. I want it to be kind of bi-directional. You say something and I say something back. You say something, I say something, and you say something back. Okay, so.
For me personally, when I
mm,
think of children's literature or any literary work that are dedicated to children, so simple stories with simple plot that are not too difficult to understand for children, like for example Red Riding Hood or Cinderella, perhaps Harry Potter, even though initially it was not published by many companies because it was assumed to be too long and difficult for children to understand.
Well, like I said, we agreed on the fact that saying that this is addressed for children or to children wouldn't be, a little bit simplistic, but because obviously there is more to children's literature than just the children, because it addresses, as you're going to see, very complex issues, very deep. It has nuance and everything in between. Yeah, who else would like to tell us what he or she thinks of children's literature?
Uh,
Yeah.
yes, I personally think of
like princess Disney stories
Nice.
or superhero stories like Superman and Batman and these kind of superheroes. You also
Mm-hmm.
have like really famous um, short stories like The Ugly Duckling, where
Mm-hmm.
at the end like you learn something moral. I think these are um, like thawabit in children's literature.
Yeah. Okay. So these are assumptions or are inspired by your experience with, I mean, you have read or somebody has read to you, stories like these. Are these assumptions that you're making, or this is real and actual experience? Yeah, Nora.
I think it can be both. I think I think it's mostly like actually true because they're made for kids, princesses
You
and
yourself, and my
superheroes.
question was about you. You were a kid. So did you read this kind of literature, or perhaps you had it read for you, or is it because you have ears enough, you have heard that children's literature is about children, it's about princes and queens, it's about this and that. This is my
No,
question.
it's from personal experience. But
Mm-hmm.
then I learned that it's not just my experience. It's that
Nice,
way for many kids as well.
nice, very good. Hmm. Omar, would you like to come to the mic? Because, I mean, juggling between the mic and looking at the chat area is a little bit straining for me. Let's kind of unify the way we're addressing each other. So, why don't you come to the mic and share?
Yes, doctor, sorry.
Yeah, yeah, that's
For me,
fine.
I see
Yeah.
children literature is the use of stories and poems to instruct and delight.
Hmm. That's big.
Mm.
Yeah. So, but obviously, Muhammad or Ahmed, I'm sorry. This
Me,
is
Omar Muhammad.
Omar, I'm sorry. Omar, this is literature. Literature is all about, instructing and delighting. This is the core idea of literature, whether it's for children or about children or, addressing other sectors of society. Yeah, but obviously there is more to children's literature than this generic assumption that it amuses and teaches. Yeah, it amuses and teaches like all the other genres. I promise you. Thank you, Omar. Any other interesting insights into what
May I,
children's?
doctor?
Yeah, yeah. What's your name?
My name is Hajar,
Hajar. Hi, Hajar.
and hi, doctor. In children's literature, they usually use simple and clear language,
Mhm,
and I feel like children literature is a categories of writing, where it's describe things like uh, imagination, evil versus bad, and a simple categories that it's easy to deliver to kids, and
mhm.
also moral
As
lessons.
assuming that it addresses only kids, like we agreed, right?
Yeah, and also
Perhaps,
in early
perhaps it's
teenagers.
perhaps this is how it started, right? It started with and for kids, but over time it evolved and it became more nuanced, more complex, and started to address other categories of society. Again, to say that it is simplistic, I wouldn't agree. I mean, it's again, it depends on how you look at them, as we're going to see. Again, it's layered in terms of meaning, and it depends on what you bring to the conversation as a reader. Okay, these are all issues that we're going to address ourselves to as we proceed, inshallah. Let's talk about the items that we have on the agenda in terms of the works that we're dealing with, and also in terms of the assessment that we're having. To start off, of course, you know that it's this 100 mark that we're all aiming for and hoping for 100 marks, and those 100 marks are kind of scattered over a number of assessment instruments. We have MTAs, of course, we have a final, and between the final, actually not between the final and yeah, we have quizzes, of course. We have one writing quiz out of 10, and the other 10 is for what we now call in-class activities. We have started this idea of in-class activities last semester, and you guys were there, so you know how they go. So you have in-class activities out of 10. You have the second quiz, which is writing, which is something that you come to the university for. This is another 10. And then you have the MTA, which is out of 30. And then we go to the final exam, which is out of 50. So this is the assessment, the 100 marks that we promise you. Let's talk about the things that we're going to cover. The pieces of work that we're going to cover. We're going to start off with something called Tom's Midnight Garden, and then we shift to Voices in the Park, and then we move on. The second one is actually The Tale of Peter Rabbit, and then we move on to Voices in the Park, and then we end this whole enterprise with The Roll of Thunder. Very interesting pieces of work. They are full of ideas, and those ideas are very varied. We're moving from transgression and violation and even colonialism, all the way to class struggles and class conflicts, all the way to racism and whatnot. So again, it's a lot of themes, and I like the variety about it, and I'm sure you're going to share the sentiment as we proceed. So, so how are we going to start? We're going to start with perhaps some introduction to the course. And in normal circumstances, we have an introduction, and then we apply whatever competencies we develop with the introduction, because the introduction is normally about how to develop those sensitivities that you would need in order to approach picture books. Unfortunately, we will have the introduction, but we will have to wait until we finish Tom's Midnight Garden in order to apply what competencies we're going to develop together about picture books. So in normal circumstances, you would have the introduction about picture books and what they mean and the codes that they have and how we can crack those codes. And then we apply to the Tale of Peter Rabbit. But this time around, we will have the introduction about picture books and the codes, and then we move on to Tom's Midnight Garden, which is a novel and not a picture book. So this is perhaps the only innovation that we have, together with the fact that we, instead of having the other side of truth, which is something that we've been doing for years, we now have a different novel, which is The Roll of Thunder. So interesting, I promise you. So what's the difference, if any, between a picture book and a non-picture book? And then a non-picture book can be a novel, can be a short story, perhaps. So when I say a picture book, are you familiar with picture books? Have you dealt with them before? Have you read picture books?
I think there are stories
Yes.
that has illustrations in them.
Yes. Yeah, these are, yeah, narratives. I wouldn't call them stories, because the word story would take us to, I mean, other places. I would say that they are narrative. Narrative means that you have, yeah, some sort of a story. I mean, somebody is narrating something. So you have a narrative, and it is illustrated. Illustrated means that there are illustrations. And the big question is whether those illustrations are, um, kind of supporting and helping us understand the narrative, or perhaps they are there in order to decorate the whole thing. Because obviously, if I have a book that is full of pictures, and I'm likely to go and buy it than if it's drab and if it's plain and it doesn't have any pictures. So this is very important. The idea that we have illustrations, and those illustrations are drawings. And then we ask the question whether those illustrations and drawings are important and, essential even or not. This is the big question. Yeah. What else? Anybody and everyone? Somebody wanted to say something.
I think it's kind of like a visual aid for non-readers, or maybe uh, children as well. It can be hard to stay in focus without any portrayals or like visual illustrations. So I think that's very helpful.
Yeah, but obviously this was not our question, Yanura, right? Our question was, what is it that you know about picture books, and if you have read any picture books? And then we talk about the idea of whether the illustrations are important, essential, or not. Um, so if I say, for example, that The Tale of Peter Rabbit is a picture book, and perhaps some of us have read The Tale of Peter, or if not all of us, right, have read The Tale of Peter Rabbit. So, what distinguishes The Tale of Peter Rabbit from a novel, any other novel, any novel? Like, what novels did you do, guys? Like, you have done um, so many
Wuthering Heights, for
novels.
example.
Mm, yeah, Wuthering Heights.
I remember Tom Sawyer when I was young. I would
Hmm.
read a version where there were illustrations.
Yeah. We do have illustrations in Wuthering Heights, but they are very few and far between, right? And you can still read the novel without those illustrations. And obviously, those illustrations are additions made by the publisher, not the writer, right? Um, so I'm trying to get to the conclusion that in picture books, illustrations are very important and are very essential. And without them, you cannot really engage with the picture book. Remember, it's called a picture book. So it's not a book, right? It's a picture book where obviously the image and the visual is a great is a great deal. It means a lot. Yes, it is. In picture books, the images and the drawings are not there for the fun of it. They play a very essential role the in our understanding and subsequent appreciation of the piece. If you want to really understand and fully appreciate what is going on in a picture book, you cannot ignore the pictures. I mean, ignoring the pictures can be very detrimental to a full understanding. And full understanding wouldn't actually happen. Again, examples of picture books that we have been doing over the years would be The Tale of Peter Rabbit. And Sadim is saying I read Cinderella. And when I was a child, it was my favorite picture book. Nice, very good.
Doctor, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is comic books like from DC and Marvel world considered as a picture book?
No, they are not. They are comics. And comics is a genre in and of itself. It's a different because I mean the mechanics and the dynamics are obviously different.
What
And
about
again,
stories like
comics are not for children only, right? We all consume comics and we like them, and yeah. Yeah, you were saying something. What?
yes, what about books like The Tortoise and the Hare, for example, or like these sort of stories that we read as kids? They count as picture
Yeah,
books,
yeah.
correct?
Do they have illustrations and drawings in them? Right? They do, right?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, nice. Um, so we have established the fact that pictures are not there for their own sake. They have a purpose. They have a reason. You cannot really appreciate a picture book unless you engage with pictures. Again, pictures come in different shapes and forms. And the way you also engage with the pictures would make all the difference in terms of how much you can make of those pictures. I'm trying to say that those pictures are very symbolic. Symbolic in the sense that they can tell you a great deal. We said that they inform our understanding of the text. Remember, in a picture book, you have the text on one side, and on the other side, you have the picture. Again, they go side by side. Again, focusing on the text wouldn't do any good, wouldn't do you any good. You need to also read the text along with the image and the picture. And when you handle the picture or the image, you need to approach it with humility, if you like, which means that you need to fully engage with it. You need to decipher it. You need to crack the codes embedded in it. I mean, the color can make all the difference. The position of the characters and how they are portrayed, whether they are small or big, short or tall, whether they are on the margins of the page or whether they are in the center. So these are very important aspects that you have to look at when you are looking at an image or a picture in a picture book. Uh, so much so that we now say that these are codes and these are signs that you need to crack. You know, when you have a code, when you have secrets and you try to unlock them. So this is again one way of engaging with the picture book. So unless you develop a sense of uh, um, knowing how to engage with the picture, you wouldn't be able to appreciate um, the experience. Again, that's why, because we're not so familiar with the idea of symbols and codes and signs, when we read a story or a picture book like The Tale of Peter Rabbit, we normally say, yeah, it's meant for children, and it's simple, and it doesn't get us anywhere. What's so big deal about it? What is so significant about it? It's just another uh, uh, children's book. No, it's not. There is obviously more to it. Again, it all depends on how many codes you can crack within the in the image, and how many ideas you can glean out of engaging fully with the pictures, looking at how the characters are portrayed, looking at where the characters are on the page, whether they are marginal or in the center, the colors, the different colors and what they symbolize and stand for. Um, Even the feel of the picture book, if you're reading it, if you have like a hard copy of it, the feel of it, the texture can make all the difference. So again, picture books are not, they may be simple. At one level, they can be simple, but they are never simplistic, I promise you. They have secrets, they have ideas, and some of those ideas are even archetypal and universal. Look at the Tale of Peter Rabbit in um, not in a traditional way. Look at it as a representation of the idea of transgression, where you have a boy who, it is true that he is disobeying his mom, but perhaps he is giving us projections, and perhaps he's giving us allusions to bigger transgressions and violations down through the ages. When you look at, for example, Satan and how he started disobeying God. So again, those are the images are not simple. They are full of ideas that you need to think of and unlock. Um, so that's why I'm saying that when you approach picture books, you don't deal with them in a superficial way, because you think that novels, for example, because of their length, because of their nuance, are perhaps better or perhaps more worthy of our attention. No, this is not true. Picture books are as poetic, as symbolic, as complex as novels. It's exactly like, looking at a poem and you say, no, you cannot equate a poem with a novel. Novels are long and they are full of this and that, while a poem can be 5 lines, can be 10 lines. But out of those 10 lines, you have a whole lot of ideas, right? Whatever you can write in hundreds of pages in a novel, you can write in a few lines in a poem. It's about this intensity and this condensation that we have. The same applies to picture books. They may seem simplistic, but they are not, I promise you. Again, it's a whole literature that we're dealing with, to the extent that we now have a name of it. We normally call picture books, we call them visual narratives. So they are narratives like novels, like short stories, but they are visual, which means that uh, you have to look at the images and the visuals very well. You need to engage with them so that you can have a full uh, experience. I mean, another aspect when we talk about children's literature, another very important aspect or perhaps a characteristic, is the idea of anthropomorphism. And anthropomorphism is about giving, animals human qualities and human characteristics and attributes. So you end up having a rabbit who speaks, who loves and hates, who thinks like us, and pretty much does everything that we do. This is called anthropomorphism, and we see it in children's literature a lot, where you have animals speak, like I said, and love and hate and everything in between. This is something that has always been there, the idea of anthropomorphism, and it goes back in history. It goes as far back as the ancient Greeks with a writer by the name of Aesop. Aesop is perhaps the first one to endow animals with human characteristics and make them come alive on the page, speaking and behaving like human beings. And we do have that in uh, even in our culture. I mean, whether it's Arab or Muslim. I think you're familiar with Ibn al-Muqaffa and Kalila wa Dimna, for example, where you have also animals speaking and behaving and acting like human beings. You have Mantiq al-Tayr by Farid al-Din al-Attar in, I think, Persian literature. You have lots of examples of anthropomorphism where you have animals behaving like human beings, having those qualities that we normally attribute to human beings, speech, and then feelings and behavior. I mean, hating, loving, ordering, thinking. I think this is also a characteristic of children's literature and also the idea of fantasy, because it's primarily meant for children, and at least in its early stages, there was no, kind of censure when it comes to fantasy. I mean, the idea that with children, you uh, 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 fly with your imagination. Children accept that because this idea of rationality is not fully grown yet. So they accept it when you take them uh, um, in the imagination. Of course, you take them from one country to another in within the same day, perhaps, or the same hour. When before the invention of planes and modern transportation, you have Aladdin traveling on this magic carpet from Baghdad all the way to I don't know where else, right? So those are things that are also associated with children. You wouldn't do that with a novel or a work that is meant for adults, because as adults we are normally realistic, and because of perhaps the pressures of life, we don't accept those flights of the imagination. So a great deal of what we see in children's literature is about the imagination, is about the fantastic. Uh, um, you know, Again, one of those elements would be having, animals speak and behave like human beings. Another would be uh, having a magical garden. One of those fantastic aspects would be going uh, um, to the past, traveling all the way back to the past and living through past experience in the present. So these are all elements that you normally associate with children's literature and nothing else. Again, like I said, we're going to start off with learning the ropes, if you like, where we need to know what kind of quotes we normally have in a picture book, um, and then build on this knowledge. On second thoughts, I have perhaps a different strategy. Perhaps I should keep this idea of quotes and how to crack them until we do or go to the Tale of Peter Rabbit, which is going to be number two, the work that we'll do after we finish Tom's Midnight Garden. Perhaps we should talk about Tom's Midnight Garden as children's literature, devoid of this idea of images, because we have a replacement. We have the imagination. We have the element of fantasy, which means a lot in Tom's Midnight Garden. So this is how we're going to start. We're going to start with Tom's Midnight Garden. And before we proceed, I would like to ask you whether you have heard of the novel, read the novel, did it in any way in your life? Tom's
No, I never heard
Midnight
of
Gun.
it.
That's fine. Anybody else? Tom's Midnight Garden. Okay.
Yes, I have.
Yeah. Okay. So, is it? I mean, how much do you know about Tom's Midnight Garden? Yeah, Nora.
I honestly don't recall much.
That's fine.
I was
That's
very
fine.
young.
That's fine. That's fine. Anybody else? Okay. So I don't want to spoil it for you. I mean, telling you the story would be, or perhaps the plot would be very spoily, and I don't want to spoil you, and I don't want to spoil the experience for you. Um, which is obviously um, what? Actually, I'm stuck. I want to proceed, but I don't want to talk about technicalities that you have no knowledge of, because while talking about those technicalities, you need to connect the dots by knowing the plot. And also telling you to go and read the plot in 5 minutes is doing injustice to the novel and how beautiful it is. But I want you to go through the experience of reading the novel itself. Are you into the habit of reading novels, the originals?
Yes, I personally
Yes.
am.
That's interesting. Yeah. Because if you
I'm
are,
reading the
yeah, go ahead.
Phantom of the Opera as well novel
Yeah,
currently.
that's interesting. MashaAllah, MashaAllah. Good. Um, so what to do now? Um, right. Let's take a 10-minute break and let me think of how we can get out of this situation where I don't want you to go and read for 5 minutes, because this is reading very superficially. And again, I don't want to stop because the conversation with you is very interesting too. So go for 10 minutes, and then when you come back, we can think of something else. Yeah, I'll see you in 10 minutes, inshallah. Hello, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, doctor, I can.
Okay. So before the break, it was all about children's literature, what children's literature means, and uh, what it conjures up in terms of ideas and themes, and even formulas and formats. And then we started to talk about the specifics. We started to talk about certain examples of literature, children's literature. And now we're starting to talk about the first work that we have on the agenda, which is Tom's Midnight Garden. And I said I don't want to spoil the experience for you by giving you the plot or asking you to go and check the plot, because this is very reductive, and literature is not about that. It's not about summaries and reductive practices. So let's start with the title of the novel. We need to, of course, you know that we have something called genre analysis, and genre analysis means that you you can tell a great deal about the work ahead by knowing what genre it is, because your horizon of expectations, if you like, allows you to fully understand and appreciate the work, even by knowing as little as I mean, something as little as, I mean, the genre. So if I say, for example, that Tom's Midnight Garden is a novel and it's not a picture book, would that make any difference for you in terms of expectations? If I say, listen, Tom's Midnight Garden is a picture book, and I start and stop. Oops, no, guys, it's not a novel. It's not a picture book. It's a novel. So you started off when I said it was a picture book, you had expectations. And then when I changed my mind and I said that it's a novel, you perhaps will have a different set of expectations. So, what are the expectations if I say that Tom's Midnight Garden is a novel? I'm asking everyone.
Could you repeat the
Sorry, can you
question?
repeat the question?
I've been formulating the question for so long, yeah, Mariam, but you were on another planet for the past 2 minutes or so.
I
And
just walked away for a while, and then
yeah,
I heard your voice that you were saying, that you were
yeah,
speaking. That's
yeah,
why.
that's, I'm saying that I was talking about genre analysis, and I said that genre analysis is very important. So you analyze the genre, which means that once you identify the genre, you come up with your own horizon of expectations. You have expectations that can help you and that can facilitate the whole process of understanding and appreciating the work. And I am saying that if I start off by saying that Tom's Midnight Garden is a picture book, so you have your expectations and you build on that. But and then I come to my senses and say, listen, I made a mistake. Tom's Midnight Garden is a novel. And I'm saying that you will have another set of expectations. Okay, so let's establish the fact that Tom's Midnight Garden is a novel. So, what are your expectations when I say that it is a novel?
It is not going to be a short story like those typical for children. That it's has more than 200 words.
Mm-hmm. 200 pages, you mean?
Yeah, pages. Sorry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Since it's probably on the longer side, I expect like the characters to be, you know, four-dimensional, third-dimensional. I need them to be like well developed,
Yeah.
and
Nuance.
you know, there's a certain
You're expecting
structure.
nuance, right? Or
Yes,
nuance,
yes,
right?
exactly.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Nice. Very good.
I
Okay.
expect that there's a plot also.
Uh-huh. That's true. Yeah, when I say it's a
Probably
novel. Yeah.
multiple themes.
Uh-huh. I mean, you mean the genre tolerates that. The size, the sheer volume of the novel, you know, allows you to have those ambitions, that it has multiple themes to it, right? Nice. Okay. So again, that would help. It's not the whole story, obviously, because you'll have to do your due diligence, and you have to still engage with the work so that you can fully understand and fully appreciate it. But at least knowing what genre it is can go a long way towards helping you understand it even more. Yeah, that's the point. Okay, so it's a novel where we have, of course, a plot, we have a narrative, somebody is narrating. We have a plot, and let me perhaps uh, clarify something, because people are under the impression that a story and a plot are one and the same. And obviously, this is not true. Story is a story, right? Um, it is true that stories are sequential. You're moving from point one to two and so on. But sometimes they are not logical. I mean, stories can, um, happen in a non-linear way. You are telling a story and then you go all the way back to the past, and then you come back to the present and you go to the future. Um, when I say a plot, it's a totally different experience. With plots, there is this element of logic. With plots, we're talking about you need to make sense for for a novel, or perhaps, yeah, for a novel to make sense, it has to have a robust plot, which means that it's logical, and nothing is haphazard and random. So again, if you have a novel, you have characters, you have a plot, you have setting in terms of time and place, and you have the angle of vision through which the narrative is given, which is what we call the point of view. And of course, out of all of these, or perhaps all of these contribute towards giving you the theme or the themes, the idea or the ideas that the writer is trying to get across to you. And make no mistake about it, no work is innocent. No work is pursued or written for its own sake, for pleasure. It's not art for art's sake that we're having. Every piece of work has an agenda. And when I say an agenda, I don't mean the negative side or the negative sense of the word. Agenda means that the writer is trying to communicate ideas to you. He's giving you an experience, and out of the experience, you get a lesson or two. He's not being didactic, because didacticism in literature and being direct in your messaging is not a good thing, of course, in literature. But there has to be a reason why the writer would engage in a huge project like a novel. He or she, of course, has something to share with us. Um, so again, there are themes and ideas that you should be on the lookout about in a piece of work. So these are things that can make the idea of understanding and subsequently appreciating a piece of work easy or easier. One very important idea about novels and pretty much about all pieces of work would be the idea of the title. Every piece of work has a title, right? And titles, from our experience, are not chosen haphazardly or randomly. They mean something. They um, are obviously a reflection of what happens in the novel or in the piece of work. So they shouldn't be taken lightly. You should give them some serious consideration. You should perhaps stop and think. They can give you also clues into what kind of adventure you are into by reading the novel. If it's a novel, because it can be a play, it can be anything else. So when I say Tom's Midnight Garden, obviously the title means something. And this is what we're going to do now. Again, we have established the genre. We have agreed on the fact that this is a novel. And when it's a novel, we have ideas about the characters and what kind of characters they are, whether they are flat or types or round characters, characters that have capacity for change. And then when we talk about the setting, what kind of place the novel or places the novel is set, what kind of time, whether the weather and the climate are there, static there in the background, or perhaps they mean something. And then we move on to um, the plot and how coherent and organic it is, and then the point of view and the narrators and what kind of narrators are they are. If you need to ask yourself whether the narrator is all seeing and all knowing, omniscient, not giving you the opportunity to judge characters for yourself, sticking labels. This is a good character and this is a bad one. And then you have um, limited omniscience where you're given little freedom to judge for yourself, and then you have unreliable narrators, whether they are children or perhaps people who are not fully aware. I mean, whether they are drunk or mad. So these are all things that you need to grapple with for a full understanding. Again, now that we have established some of that, and again, because we haven't read the novel yet, uh, it's too soon and too early to judge. We are going to move to the title and try to grapple with it. try to unpack the title. And the title is Tom's Midnight God. So let's dissect the title. I would like you, if you have a pen or a pencil handy, I would like you to write the title and divide it into sections. Dissect it and see. Tom's Midnight Garden. I'm doing the self-same thing. Okay. So what did we find? Find out. Any conclusions? So what is normally, what is a typical world made of?
A noun or a verb?
Hmm. What?
A noun or a verb?
I'm talking about a world. What is a typical world made of? World
I
that
feel
you.
like that's a really broad question.
Mm-hmm.
Character, character setting, problem solution,
You have
like the
people
plot.
in a
Yeah.
typical world. You have people.
Characters.
You
Yeah.
have places,
Setting. Yeah.
and you have time,
Time.
right? Okay. So when I say Tom's Midnight Garden, so Tom is obviously the people, right? Midnight is obviously the city, the time element of the city, and garden is the place element of the city, right? See? So it's a whole world that we have. And then comes the issues and the challenges and the problems and okay. But two things are very significant in the title. The time is not just another time, it's midnight. Perhaps it has associations to it. And the place is not just another place, it's a garden, right? So, what are the associations of night? What happens at night that does not happen during the day?
Maybe magic or something
Owls.
magical.
Yeah,
See owls.
I expect you to say that we sleep, and sometimes when we sleep, we dream. And when we dream, magic happens, right? Right? Um, fantasy. I mean, there is obviously no censor in our dreams. I mean, we fly places, we travel, we everything happens in a dream. We get rich, right? Um, so midnight, and these are the associations. It can also be scary, right? Sometimes. Okay, and what are the associations of garden, if any?
Doctor, can I ask you, are you sharing the screen? Because I can't see
No,
this.
no, I'm not sharing. I mean, we're just, you know,
Okay. Okay.
chilling out, if you like. Hmm.
A
Maybe
garden can be
garden
filled
is
with flowers, maybe trees, and sometimes magical creatures, especially at night.
In a garden?
Yeah, if we're talking about fantasy.
No, I'm not talking about a fantasy. I'm talking about a garden. يعني رحنا جنينة الحي عندكم في الحديقة اللي جنبكم هنلاقي هنلاقي ايه؟ What did you say, Mariam? Magical stuff? No.
It's filled with flowers and trees.
Yeah, that's normal, right? That's our expectations of a garden. That's true.
maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
associated with childhood, maybe freedom. I don't know.
You know, gardens. I'm talking about the superficial level. This is again, or this is still surface level analysis. I'm talking about the components. And then we're going to move on a step further and talk about the perhaps the what? The abstract and the philosophical level of things. Okay, so Tom's Midnight Garden. So obviously the hero or the character here in the title, in the world of the title, is Tom, right? So we were expecting him to be or to go to the garden at one point, and we're expecting him to go at night, right? So something is unfolding, obviously, because normally we ask kids to go and sleep, right? At night. If he doesn't, and for some reason he goes to a garden or he's transported to a garden, obviously he doesn't want to sleep, and we need to know why he doesn't want to sleep. Does he have insomnia? And if he is insomniac, why? And these are questions that we will ask later. And what is it that he's going to see in a garden? And whether this is a real garden or not. And whether this garden is kind of an isolated place where no other people are there. And obviously, if it's a garden, it's full of flowers and plants, very beautiful things, but it doesn't have people in it. like الجنة من غير ناس ما تداس, right? Will he have other people in this garden? Playmates, perhaps. And how important are those playmates in his life? Are they going to transform him in any way? Is going to the garden a transformative experience for him, right? So these are all questions that we need to ask. So I'm going to leave you on this note, and I would like you to start reading the novel. You need to start reading the novel. And if, like, it's a day and you haven't finished, I would like you to go and read a good sum. But don't start reading a summary from today. No, read as much as you can. And a day before we meet next week, see whether you have finished or not. If you haven't finished, go and read a good summary, a very good one. Okay? Hello.
Yes, doctor.
Mm.
I have a question. ما له علاقة.
Mm?
Yes. Currently my GPA is 3.58, and I want to graduate with the first degree of honors, which it has to be at least 3.82 excuse me. I have to go like 9 points up, and I have 3 courses this semester, part A and part B of this one, and مادة التدريب. Is it possible that my GPA goes up 9 points, or is there something like extra I can do?
And you have to work very hard, extra hard, and hope for the best. Do what you're supposed to do.
Yes. Is there
If
an
you have,
activity or something I can contribute to that would help me with this?
no, I mean, we have those regular, assessment instruments. We cannot give something, other than them or beyond them. So just focus
Yeah.
on them so that you can secure maximum marks in them.
All right. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Doctor, I have a question.
Yeah, ask.
I search about Tom's Midnight Garden and there's many editions. There's Puffin Classical editions, there's Oxford edition. So what should I read?
And all of them have the same manuscript. I mean, the editions differ in how they look on the fonts that they use, and also if they have like an introduction or a preface by a scholar introducing the edition. Don't have to care about or worry about these things. Just focus on the novel itself, and then any edition can do.
Okay, doctor, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Next time I'm going to share my YouTube channel with you, and it has archives of all the past recordings of this course, and whether it's the master classes that we're starting next week or the regular classes. And I think I also started to kind of AI generate lots of my recordings, but you will find the experience interesting. But I don't want to spoil the novel for you. I'm not going to share this with you until next week. Enjoy the experience of reading, and then as of next week, I'll give you access to all the materials, the material there is on and about the course. Okay, we're not having a master class this week because it would be too soon and too early. Where our master class is normally on Thursday, and it is at 3 p.m. inshallah on Thursday, and the link is on the LMS already. Okay, everyone.
Doctor, I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Are we going to cover all the stories in the book, or just some specific ones?
We only have 4 pieces of work. We have Tom's Midnight Garden, Voices in the Park, The Tale of Peter Rabbit, and Rolls of Thunder. These are only 4.
Oh, so not all of them, just the 4 ones.
No, 4, those are primary sources, and of course you need their secondary sources, which means you need to read the articles on and about them, together with what we're doing in class in terms of discussions and debates and everything in between.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Yalla, I'll see you inshallah next week. Assalamu alaikum, everyone.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you, doctor.
You're welcome.